Happy Lunar New Year. Uranus went direct, setting the tone for the new year. In 2025, it's a 9-year numerology and the year of the snake. All that and more in Scott's opinions coming up with Leading Out Loud.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to LOL Leading Out Loud, the show that promises to aggravate our audience member Maggie by going late every week. This week, we're talking about the big changes coming up in 2025. It's going to be immense. But first, Scott, let's do your psychic serve report and let's talk about the energy at hand, particularly the energy right now in the studio.
Well, yeah, you've had some tech issues. So, I mean, that's what new studio, new environment, things are bound to get, technical, I would say. So, we will help you get that in order too. So, but yeah, this has been an interesting week too, though. So I would say it's kind of a reflection of the week as well that I've noticed across the board. And I, again, like we've been saying a lot of times, it's been very heavy, heavy energy, tired. And, we're sensing a lot of things in motion, right, for 2025. And that does feel heavy. And sometimes when things get pushed into motion or trying to push to motion, there's like a jolt, like it doesn't really start, kind of like the show today, right? We're trying to push, and everything kept, preventing it from moving forward. So there's a lot of that energy going around too. So, I've been saying for a long time, 2025 is a year of movement, of tangible manifestation. So we just got to be very careful of how we're moving on things and not, moving too quickly, because that'll end up backfiring too. We're actually not moving quick enough. So this week, primarily take heed on your rhythm, take heed on, that you're not taking off too much you can chew, right? I've been taking that heed past week and just simplifying and I'm like, I got to create stuff. I'm like, nope, I'm taking a step back. I'm not going to create. I'm going to take a breath of fresh air. So it's a good time this week because we got to kind of digest and make things palatable of what's going to happen in 2025. A lot of movement, because chaotic in the world, but also individually, there'll be a lot of great change. And we'll get into that more so with the read too.
Well, Uranus direct, I mean, first of all, Uranus is the planet of change, and most of the time it's in Taurus. So, it's trying to innovate what normally doesn't innovate. It's trying to innovate the energy of the solid, the manifestation energy, the things that stay stuck. Tauruses are notoriously slow. They don't move fast for a reason, because they're so heavy. So Uranus right now is breaking up what is dense energy and has become too dense, first of all.
Yeah.
The other thing about Uranus, though, is like the whole point of it is to get more for less. And so, like you said, like sometimes we want more. We want to go higher. We want to be better, but we want to do it more efficiently. And, efficiency is like a big part of business and profitability. And, you have to be nimble and quick. I think the issue really, honestly, that gets in the way are people. People are, stuck in their ways because they have emotional comfort zones. They have their blankie, they have these things, and they don't know how to emotionally cope on the fly. And so a lot of times, at least in my experience, I'm dealing with people who don't want to change at all, don't want to feel what it feels like to change. And so they're resisting the idea of change altogether. And that just adds static to the whole equation. That's what I find.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be that push and pull. Those who are overly ambitious. But I always tell you, I love you, my brother, but sometimes you're overly ambitious. You shoot yourself in the foot.
This is why we're great lovers, because I get you moving, you get me fluid. That's what keeps us going, buddy.
Right, but you're very ambitious, and so and you're feeling that pull, and I'm feeling the intuitive pulls too, like of what's going to manifest this year too, like based on the seed we've planted, and so, but I'm making sure because I tell you that I take my own heed and make sure that I'm not doing too much at once either, because there's gonna be a lot of great things in 2025, and so I think that we have to have the calm before the storm and rest up before things get in motion, so we have more discernment, right, and so we'll be more perceptive of what's going on collectively. And also individually.
Yeah. But I also we can go on this argument forever. I feel like most of the things are underfunded, undersupported. And the truth is you need more support for change. Look at the money NASA threw at, the space shuttle. Look at the money. You got to throw a lot of money and a lot of time if you want to do a lot of change.
It's true.
But then again, are we not going to change because we don't have money? Like there's a balance there as well. It's like, I'm not going to sit around. I get bored. I get bored with the same mold. I start losing for me, I like to be on that surf report edge of the change. And that's really what we're supposed to be talking about now is a surf report. But we're living it. Like right now, the frustration of going live and being on time and technology, that's all Uranus. That is Uranus right there, direct right there. And as soon as Uranus went direct, this kind of shift happened all my technology blinked at least once. I've had to reset everything here in the studio like at least 3 times, like today before we went live. So we're really feeling that Uranus direct. But why don't we go into the psychic surf report and just talk about what are you picking up? Well, let's review last week. What did you feel last week, Scott? Like what's going on with your viewers? What's going on with your clients? What did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of oversensitivity. So, like last week, we talked about the divine feminine, like how that's going to be really kind of explosive in this year too, like divine feminine coming out. So, I think people feel more emotional than usual, sensitive, not just sensitive like emotion, but like sensitive with their abilities, like picking up on psychic awareness and so forth. So, great time this year to start developing your psychic awareness. Hint, hint. And so, I've been finding people not understanding how to navigate that too. And so there's been a lot of people, kind of pointing fingers at other people and taking things personally. But I think it's a good time to start really understanding what the intuition is really saying, what your discernment is saying, and paying attention to, those emotions that may have been swept under the rug. So I've been seeing a lot of people bringing that to light, or at least questioning that, last week coming into this week. And that is all about change because, when you're starting to recognize maybe what you've been depriving yourself of or silencing yourself of, that's a gateway to change. So, even though a lot of my clients, as you know, Christopher, they don't see the bigger picture. They just assuming things are in disarray, but I'm seeing, oh, wow, this is a wonderful, momentum of change beginning, so,
Yeah.
so I've been seeing a lot of my clients and a lot of my viewers on my channel, making those great realizations and starting to see those pieces come together.
Oh,
What about you?
interesting.
You seen that too?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, I see it through the eyes of the astrology. For me, we were in the early degrees of Aquarius last week, and that had all to do with where you're not right with yourself.
Hmm.
Where you're not on the right side of yourself, or you're not sticking
Right.
up for yourself. And so I found people first, not sticking up for themselves in the moment, then sort of blaming the other person, and then coming hopefully to the realization of like, wait a second, I set myself up for this. you
Right.
know, I'm the one that can change this. I'm the one actually not on my side that got me in a situation in the first place. And that's what I believe is a law of attraction. Like if you attract a bunch of people who don't give a shift, then you aren't giving a shift somewhere inside yourself and you're reflecting that. But those early degrees of Aquarius were difficult because
Yeah.
Pluto's in the space.
Right.
And because Pluto's in the space there, Pluto was at 1 degree, which is self-love.
Hmm.
So what was underneath the seas, was that Pluto is saying, and Pluto's like Pluto's an astral Scorpio that will not take will not take no for an answer, and so Pluto is saying you've got to love yourself, period. Like you have to. It was insisting on it. So people are getting mad and agitated, and a lot of times they're blaming the other people, because that's a reflection of what's going on inside of them. And I think that insistence that I can't take it anymore. This is it. This is the final line, Pluto. I can't take it anymore, Pluto. I'm quitting this thing. I want to leave, Pluto. Those
Right.
are all Pluto themes. So I think we felt the heaviness. You were talking earlier before the studio. Feel this heaviness. That's freaking Pluto.
Yeah.
It's a very heavy energy because it's got an all, my way or the highway attitude, which is rare in free will. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it goes against it. Yeah.
I was also telling people like, this I've noticed personally, not just with you, but personally, like in other things, like delays on things, right? Things that were expected to come arrive didn't. And I've been noticed that the past couple weeks too, with like delays and things taking more time than usual. And I've noticed that with a lot of the people too, the delay energy
Oh
too.
yeah.
And and of course you and I tried, we are just let people know that this show is not funded. Like we're just completely doing this on our own time. And I want viewers to understand that we do this because of, we have a passion for this and we want to share information. So this is not a funded show. So, what we're coming up with is on our own time, our own passions. And so, we have a lot of things going on. So yeah, there's gonna be some delays even right now. Uranus direct. So I think that when we understand the quality of what we're getting in our lives and how we're outputting the quality and receiving the quality, then we can understand the timing of certain things and why there may be delays or why there's certain other aspects where things need to be at certain times versus not. And then we can appreciate what it is knowing that.
Yeah. Although I think it's a Pluto problem. I think,
Hmm.
guys, innovation takes fucking time. That's a boundary. Time and
Yeah.
space are boundaries. America is spoiled. The idea that we get things in 30 seconds and 50 seconds, this is retarded. Like, I'm sorry, it's not like modern society, but it's not smart.
Right.
It's not
Sure.
smart. It's not how things work. Why, we allow a baby to be born in, how many hours it takes, but we don't have that attitude with anything else in life.
It's
We
true.
don't have that attitude. We're impatient. Oh my God, you're ruining my life. You're making my life back up. Like, it's just like, whoa.
Right.
First of all, can we not compact so much in one space? That's part of it. We're trying to get too much done at once. I do see that. I agree with you on that one. Too much at once, but not too much. I mean, maybe it's where the line is between the two of us.
But
I
that's
want
the
a
divine
lot.
feminine, though.
Maybe it's
But
all
that
at once is the problem,
right.
but it's the
But
boundary
that
issue, time, space, boundary
right.
issue.
But like you said before, like the lack of nurturing comes from the divine feminine out of order. We forgot how to
Yeah.
nurture. We
Yeah. Yeah.
forgot how to, take the steps. We forgot about the baby steps. We forgot about how to, nurturing is growing. Growing is
Right.
nurturing, and it's patience is nurturing, not waiting. And so,
That's true.
we're learning that now. And I think a lot of people, whatever's going on in your life, whatever you're triggered by, try to ask yourselves, what have I not nurturing? In these moments, or whatever's setting you off. And now's a good time to do so, because divine feminine is going to be, coming in its perfect harmony this year, and we want to make sure we're in alignment to that nurturing.
It's gonna be in perfect harmony because I'm stuck in line at the DMV and I have no choice but to develop it. I think it's gonna come in line gently. It's gonna be forced, through an elephant through
Yes.
a hose kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna force us to. Well, that's the thing about Uranus. It almost feels like a Uranus year when you combine the fact that there's a lot of nine. This is a net 9 year.
Yeah.
9 is ego. And one of the things that's like a major theme in 2025 is the reinvention of the ego. It's being reinvented, believe it or not. But now
Yeah.
it can be because it was invented in the first place. It doesn't exist in heaven. It doesn't cross over with this. It's not a consciousness that goes with this. It's an
Right.
element of just being on Earth. And so it goes through remodels all the time. We went through a remodel like in 2018,
Yep.
2017. We went through a remodel of the ego. And that's when Donald Trump was running in 2016. So Donald Trump was sort of pushing, he was a symbol of, I think, for a lot of people, the ego we didn't want to see anymore, right? And then people are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, look at him, he's so this. It's like, I think we all agree, like, we don't want anything like that, right? That was a discussion underneath the seams of ego should not be this way. We're here again, and he's president again, ironically, in that 9 year, where again we're talking about the pushing of the ego. It's the ego that wants more for nothing. It's the ego that needs it tomorrow and can't wait till the impatient part of us, the
Right.
part of us that will attack first and ask questions later. So
Right.
this year in that 9 year, you're going to see the old ego come out and make a total jackass of itself, and in that and in a moment of humility, hopefully, find a better way to do it. And I don't
Right.
see any way. The thing about Aries energy and ego energy is you have to screw up to see something's wrong. You
That's true.
you have to. You have to hit a wall. You have to break down. So we have a lot's going to break down this year because
Yeah.
we wouldn't see it was a problem unless it did.
Right. Well, and that's the tangible manifestation, right? Like we all in 2024 did that emotional clearing, right? We cleared out the subconscious. We've exposed the unresolved, and so now, of course, anything that hasn't been resolved will manifest, become physically evident to ourselves, good and bad, right, on both ends of the spectrum. So, so we need to be preparing for that change. And again, change though doesn't always mean bad. Everyone associates change like a tower card moment, and it's like change is wonderful. When you get that new job, isn't that awesome? When you move to the home that you want to move, isn't that great? When your
I love change.
relationships, right, and when you're me too, and when your relationships evolve, like that's awesome, beautiful change. So I want us to be looking at change in a sense of this is good change. This is what we're asking for. And it's, I would say it's also pushing our resistance out of what we've been maybe not nurturing within ourselves, right? I don't deserve that love, or I deserve too much. We're going to find that balance of divine feminine to understand, to allow it to come in and to embrace that change. So yeah.
When you say divine feminine, I think astrologically of Libra, the opposite of Aries. Like Libra is acceptance, right?
Right.
And we, Libras are the joke of the town sometimes because they accept all the crap from the bad guy. They accept, they've accepted too much. They've been drug around. They've been abused in relationships because they are the energy of acceptance as of today. And I think what we had to learn was acceptance. It's like, I will accept, but I will not continue to accept. Like there's boundaries there. And I think one
Absolutely.
of the problems is like, hey, when something's going wrong, the first thing you have to do is just accept that this is happening. Because people, their egos will just, this can't be happening. No, it is,
Right.
obviously. And you now fighting that it is going to now create another brick we have to deal with, another action item on the list. It's like, just let's accept this is happening. Take it to
Exactly.
heart, like this is happening. This is our thing. And once you accept it, you're in a position to change it. But people resist accepting it at all. And I have a theory.
True.
I call it a poor man's boundary. Instead of saying this can't happen, they say this can't be happening. It's like they refuse to accept. That's a poor man's boundary. That's a dumb way to draw a line. And it's just something we learned, as children and from our society. So we have to accept and receive that this is going on. Until you accept what's going on, you're not going to change anything because you're
But that's
resisting
what love
the whole
is.
concept. Yeah.
That's what love is, though. See, people who talk about love is love, 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 love. And they don't understand love is acceptance. When you put love into
Yes.
something, like, I accept my wounds.
Yes.
I accept the challenges, and that's what was. And so I'm also accepting where I'm at because of it, and I'm accepting where I'm going with it. So acceptance is what love is, because it's not judgmental. It's like it's taking the power and extracting the power from the circumstance, and it's evolving. That's what acceptance does. So, a lot of times people are
That's
trying to
Libra.
practice.
Libra's acceptance. Libra rules
Right.
relationships.
Right, right. And so, but a lot of times people are just trying to, like, be in gratitude and gratitude, but they can't feel gratitude, appreciation, because they haven't accepted
Correct.
the mission, the karmic destiny. They haven't accepted that, so they can affirm what they want. But acceptance is key when it comes to, that's what true love really is, actually.
Well, I think I have a phrase I always say that gratitude is the attitude of receiving. The only way you
Right.
can accept that shit is about to go down is you are grateful. Like, thank you for this challenge, Lord. Like that's sort of like what. If you are grateful, you will be able to accept the fact that someone just wrecked your car. Like, I think that's where gratitude goes. Gratitude doesn't go after you're sitting on top of the mountain counting on your money. That's, to me, we've got gratitude in the wrong order of steps.
Right.
I'm all about the steps and the sequence of them. So I think gratitude is what you say to yourself. Like when you're having a hard time accepting the truth, let's be grateful that we have a show. Let's be grateful that we, that we have technology. Let's be grateful that I can broadcast from my fucking living room. Like
Right.
that's fucking cool. Like, that moment, that's what I need to remind myself when I'm screaming at Apple and yelling at Steve Jobs about how I'm going to kick his butt when I get up there. Because it was technology and he assigned an asshole in front of the company and they're going down hills and flames. Like that's the sort of thing I think. Well, and that's kind of the frustration we have. So now moving on to this week, last week was about, basically coming to terms with who I need to be with myself. Let's stop blaming the world. I let this happen. I let this happen. I put myself in this position. Once you accept that, you're empowered now to change it. And this week is about changing it. The astrology says you're going to come to some terms inside yourself about the vibe you want to live in this week. You're like, I want to live in this vibe. But basically, Aquarius is a vibe. It's the energy. And, to me, it's a rhythm. I mean, when you start getting really good at Aquarius, you're in this rhythm. Your life's in a rhythm. It's like, and I've had moments in my life where my life is going so well. It's a rhythm. I walk through the door, someone hands me a coffee. Hi, everybody. It's like a commercial. Like just things are just being orchestrated like a dance routine when you really get into the rhythm of life. This week, we're going to commit to a beat, if you will. We're going to commit to our own inner rhythm, which then allows us next week to start to, like a jump rope, like get into the rhythm with someone else or get into the rhythm with other people. And that's what I think the age of Aquarius is, that we're all in this cool rhythm. But there's some other things I'll just put out there. Jupiter goes direct. So that means that lessons, Jupiter has been reviewing lessons in our mind games, expanding mind games, helping you realize and see outside your mind games. Jupiter has nothing else to show you except it's giving you the time to review where your mind games are screwing you. Now with Jupiter direct, there's new mind games. And these new mind games have to do this month with integrity. Jupiter's at step up and for the entire Aquarius, 1 degree for the entire. Jupiter's like, and what is integrity? Integrity is when you love yourself and you expect a life based on that love. That's what 11 is. I love myself. I love my life. So we're being commanded by Jupiter, because it's a commandment. It's a huge planet, to love yourself first and accept nothing less in your life, in your mind. Your mind is being told to do that. Mars squares Chiron, which means we have to come to terms with some sort of fear about the future. Like, you get over it. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. Mars is retrograde though, so we don't have quite the fight that we have. The North Node conjoins Neptune this week, so that means God Universe is saying, okay, it's time. Your mission is on. Go. So you get the cue on whatever your mission is, your spiritual mission. Mars trines Saturn, which is telling us, yes, let's get going. Like, get your feelings behind this mission. And then we have Saturn on Saturday, which is after our next show, but I just want to put it out there. We have Cazimi, which is Mercury and the Sun come together. Mercury passes the Sun. And when Mercury and the Sun come together, the reason why it's so amazing is because your smart-ass mind finally gets on the side of your heart, which is the Sun. So the heart and mind unite. So you could say that this next week, at least astrologically, is going to be getting your shift together and getting your mind and heart on the right side and moving forward to the next chapter. I think we feel our life click into gear and go to the next chapter.
Yep. I agree. And I've been saying for probably the past couple weeks too, moving forward, especially going into February, is that we're going to be called to act from the heart. And that's where integrity comes from, is from the heart. It doesn't come from ego. It doesn't come from, oh, I'm standing up against people. It's not you're standing up against people to fight people. You're standing up for yourself. Big difference. Because, you're not living in spite of other people anymore. You're living from your heart, which means that you're fulfilling your own divine purpose and mission. And so I think that we need to really be clear to identify that what integrity really means, that you're standing up for yourself. You're allowing yourself to be your own voice. And you're nurturing your own voice, not because of other people, because it's what you need to express. And I think that's when we hit the nail on that integrity in that fashion, then we don't become so defensive if we don't get what we want, or we don't become so defensive if someone says the wrong thing. We get an acceptance of saying, well, I understand why they feel what they feel. I don't agree, but that's what they feel. That's their karmic path. The way they come from their path, that's why they would see things. And if I were in their shoes, I'd probably see it the same way, even though I don't agree, right? So this is the integrity part, is be able to decipher that you're being your own voice, truly, you're speaking for your true voice, and whatever others is doing, you're allowing yourself to accept that's what is. That's the karmic cycles that we're in. And so I think the heart-based approach to things is going to be kind of manifesting expansive in the next week or two moving forward. And so again, those you guys are not in tune to your emotions, it's going to feel erratic to you. A lot of people are going to feel very vulnerable, and because as many people don't like that transparency emotionally, and so and then when they're forced to be emotional, or they're put in positions where they have to confess their emotions, it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I tell people, go with that uncomfortability. It's change. Being uncomfortable is change. And so sometimes when you make a change that you want, it still might be uncomfortable, but all because something's uncomfortable, it should not be a deterrent. I would say I would like to run toward the uncomfortable energy, because I find a lot of spiritual nuggets and power in the uncomfortable, And so I don't want that to be a deterrent for people like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, expresses emotion, push it, nurture it. Take a little X-Lax, let it slide on out,
There we go. Yeah, that's uncomfortable. Well,
But
that's the thing. That's emotional coping skills. I think that the world has none. And you know what? I don't
doesn't.
even blame a person for that. It's like nowhere in, in junior high and in elementary, like nowhere are you told how to nurture your feelings. How do I get my feelings from upset to not upset? They're like, well, until you settle down, go there and do this. And you're grinding until you settle down. Like, it's like,
Right.
you're going to throw the kid's got emotional issues, and he's just going to tell them to figure it out himself over there in that corner, right? Now, fast forward to that being your boss, right? And you're late, right? Or whatever. They can't, there's two things going on. One is the problem, and two is the reaction to the problem. But the biggest, I think, thing with, you say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We don't fucking know how to be, get comfortable. No one, where's the tools? Where are we learning in anywhere in Hollywood or anything, right? Like, so we're lacking the skills and we're lacking the tools. And I think that's where divine feminine comes in. I mean, I think this is what forces divine feminine to come in. Like, all right, fine, ladies take over. Like, you do it. Like, we can't do it because there's a natural. First of all, I think Venus it represents female yin, and Venus is acceptance. So I think the first thing to dealing with emotionally coping is you've got to accept that this is happening. Yes, you look like an ass right now, and yes, everyone sees you, and yes, it's all true. It is, like, because the ego wants to deny and put pressure on. Pressure creates inflammation. Inflammation creates disease. Like, it just starts to build up to cancer. It all kind of builds up. So I agree. I think it's get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I think that's one of the secrets of life. Frankly, it's like you can go so much farther if you're just willing to breathe through it.
Yeah, and because a lot of times people just go uncomfortable because, like, in spirit reality, things change like a kaleidoscope. Everything's constantly changing. We don't have density slowing down the change process. So naturally, the spirit's going to always want to change. So if you get used to the uncomfortable energy, you just recognizing I'm expanding. Actually, I'm growing. I'm evolving, and it might be fast, but sometimes everyone wants things to manifest fast, but then they don't want to accept the uncomfortable energy of change and the growing pain. So I'm saying, if you want things to manifest fast and you're accepting where your life is, where it's going, then yes, things will happen really fast. I've noticed that in my life all the time, how quickly things just shift because I'm on board. But it's not anxiety, it's excitement. It's like, oh my gosh, like this feels this cozy energy feeling of knowing that there's a flow that you're in, and there's an excitement of there's a mystery to that, because a lot of times being psychic, I don't want to know the future. I think people just understand, like, because we're psychic, I'd want to know less of the future as possible in my own life. I like to enjoy the unfolding and be very much aware of like what's unfolding for me. And remember, for us, not to us, for us. And so I'm like, I don't want to know the future. Nope. I block it out because it's like, there's no fun sometimes of just understanding every step that pans out, because when you have direction, Christopher, then life doesn't seem random. When you have direction, you're in tune to your divine purpose. Life doesn't seem random. Things aren't just falling all over the place. You just know your purpose and you're at peace with just being present. That's the true essence of being present.
Well, I have many things come up there. One is the step system, which taught me, honestly, I'm a net 9. Everything in my chart's 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Let's go, go, go. And, drive my parents crazy. But step 9 is when you act. That means there's 8 plus 0, 8 steps before you take an action. And that woke me up. I'm like, oh my God. So it's not that things happen fast. It's that people skip steps. You have to prepare. 8 preparations. 8 preparations of H, you know what I mean? Before you take the action and move forward. That woke up me in such great realization, and going through the steps and making sure then you enjoy the ride because you're on a solid foundation. It's like, you've worked so hard to get to that. That's what?
I'm saying that's the flow. People will talk about flow all the time and get in the flow. They don't know what it means. That sometimes people think delusion is flow, but that's the flow.
Yeah. Well, the natural flow of the universe. I mean, yeah, exactly. To me, there are conscious steps that happen. I don't, it's funny. I always predict the future. I always like to predict the future, and I'm always wrong. So it is always a surprise. I mean, when astrology always tells me, oh, this is going to happen, and my mind's like, oh, and starts to envision stuff, and then it's nothing when I thought. That is such a joy. That's so like a kid. I just laugh like a kid when God universe like delivers in a way that I never thought. But if it's the exact astrological model that I saw, it's exactly the model. It's exactly according to astrology. But shit, I never thought of that before. So that to me is the surprise of life too. So even when you're a mystic, I think the universe still has a surprise in order for you.
Oh, totally. And I tend to understand, like, I want to use my psychic awareness for preparation. That's all, to prepare. I'm 10 steps ahead of things, because a lot of times, as you know, being psychic too, it's like, sometimes we're living in that future. We feel that energy, but there's that disconnection because I'm in that, I already have that energy of the future. And then the present's completely, a dichotomy to that. And then you feel unsettled. So I had to learn how to like block that off and say, I'm using my psychic ability for my own personal life as a preparation. So I'm prepared for the change.
And honestly, you have to ask in the psychic world. Like, very rarely does psychic go, hey. Very rarely does it say, tap you on the shoulder. Very rarely, guys.
Right.
People think that's all you're doing is like picking up, like, just like walking around picking up stuff. You have to ask. And the thing is depending on how much of an idiot you are, you don't think to ask certain things. So you don't find out. So if you don't think to ask, you don't find out. So it comes down to your mind and its prejudices and its attitudes that keep you from using this magic wand for what you need. So
especially connect with spirit too. We have to also be clear, even connect with those crossed over. They're not just always knocking your door, just like in physical reality. They didn't call you every minute of the day. Right. So it's just like we have to activate, pick up the phone too, and same thing. And I think, the change is taking that initiative spiritually. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's a big change for 2025 is people taking their spiritual initiatives, not just sitting back, waiting for the manifestations, not sitting back. What does spirit have to tell me? What is spirit giving to me? It's like, what are you doing to activate? And I think that people can find a lot of great power and excitement behind that, and freedom. That like, oh, I can activate and call whenever I want to. Got it. That's going to be freeing this year of change.
I'm in the Christian church for that. The Christian church brainwashed the world into thinking like, who are you to talk to Christ? You're not good enough. Like this attitude. So we're like, okay, I'll just wait for him to appear in a cracker, and when he does, I will put that cracker in a glass case and I will worship it. So like, it's this weird fucking like approach. It's like what? And so we're all coming on a Christian Judeo hangover. Like the whole we've all been mind fucked by these religions. For whatever reason, they had, but so I think we're still shaking that off and being proactive. And I had an expert on who channels Saint Germain. And an interesting thing he brought up was that it's all about connection, like that we're moving to connection. And I hadn't thought about that. And communication. He said communication. It's like to communicate is oneness. Oneness is constant communication. That's oneness. Right. And I think, wow, that's interesting point of view. It's like communication. I always thought oneness was like, but it's more like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Like, I think it's a different perspective that we have to initiate. They have to hit back. We reinitiate. It's a back and forth, which from what I understand is you're not just combined. In heaven, you have privacy too, from what we hear. You don't just aren't one with everything God's doing right now. You have to change your attention to tune into that frequency.
Well, the oneness is a realization that everything is connected. You know what I'm saying? So we play separation, we shut things out. I mean, we play the separation game. It's not really what's happening. We're just able to kind of isolate thought, but we realize that all is connected. It's like, to me, it's like a Rubik's Cube, especially this reality. It's always shifting and to find the right combination. So, because everything matches this energy. So it's all connected. Everything's interchanging, connecting together with frequency. So I think the realization is that it's all connected is the oneness to me,
Realization. Well, certainly the foundation for it. I mean, I realize it, but
foundation,
I don't feel one with you right now, man. So, so I don't know.
especially
I
when
can
you're
tell you that.
late.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, let's shift topics. We're halfway through already. We can gossip all day. What
Yep.
about? I want to ask you about the plane crash overnight in D.C. I
Mhm.
don't know if you heard about that, but a Black Hawk military helicopter crashing a commercial airline overnight. What do you pick up on that, man? I mean, I don't feel conspiracy, but what happened?
You know, my mind tends to always go conspiracy because I always did the contrarian of like, I don't believe what I'm told. Let me sift and sort.
Yeah.
So there's something suspicious. I do psychically feel negligence.
Okay.
Initially I'm like, oh, there's something wrong here. Someone wants someone dead, but I actually really do feel negligence. And I do feel there were issues technologically. So as I'm reading it now, I'm surprised because my thoughts are wrong, but it feels like negligence. It feels like there was something interfering with the waves or radar. I don't know the terminology they use, and it really was an accident. But I think there's something else that has been fucking with our airwaves and energetic waves in the skies that caused this accident, if that makes sense, right? So whatever they're testing with drones, whatever they're testing in the air with frequency, I feel that was a disruptance to this situation that created this accident, this crash.
Huh, interesting. Our scientists are not as smart as they think they are. Like they'll just like, oh, we can just hack in the we can just put out this wave and it'll be fine. Look, we put out this wave and it was received over here. Wow, that's great. Do you think maybe there's other ways that might be? No, it worked. Like so this is money. I think a lot of times too, the negligence is a money issue. Like, it's like, oh well, what are the chances? The run statistic. What are the chances that would happen? Oh, 1 in a million.
Yeah.
I'll take that chance. Well, you just fucking got your result, buddy.
Right.
Like you took that chance. I feel like it's probably something where they kind of had a feeling that this could happen. Probably some Scott guy somewhere in the office is like, "Hey guys," and they're like, "Shut
Mhm.
up," at that point, and now they're gonna, and that
Right.
won't come out either.
Right.
And-
So but like I'm saying, so like the people flying to them, it was like accident. Like they weren't the ones that created it, but there's something I'm just sensing something in the skies and their airwaves that they're
Oh,
manipulating or testing that's created
oh,
the glitch within their technological systems that
oh.
made them collide. So,
Uh,
and wasn't
Maybe
there
weather
another one?
control, mind control. Which way was that be?
Yeah, true, but I know they're testing drones. They came out saying they have been testing using drones, and they've been doing nuclear testing and all that stuff. So I know there's something within the airwaves, and they do utilize the technology of 5G to disseminate certain things technologically. And I'm just going to keep it simple. And so I believe that's fucking. I think there was also wasn't there like another crash something in Alaska too? It's like so there's another one like right it just happened recently. I think looked at the news and see. So this is not the first one either. So there's something that they're manipulating in the airwaves, but I think the people who are flying the actual jet and it's an accident for them. They weren't on board with
I
this.
think we're always in the
No
same.
clue. Negligence.
To thwart fear here from what we just said, because I don't want to make people afraid. Do you feel like if you let's say you're on one of those planes that went down in 9/11, okay? If it was a plane, if it really went down, but let's say you're on a hijacked plane and it went down, and it's like, oh my God, people are suddenly afraid to fly. I kind of feel. I mean, my guides tell me those souls, and the people might not know them, but their higher self signed up for that. Like they were meant. It sucks. It's
Of
horrible. It's
course.
tragic. But nothing happens by accident. Like nothing.
It's hard for people who's lost someone to adapt that idea because and I'm like, but let's push a little further because people just die just because there's no intelligence behind death, even though you don't understand it. It's just like they're just a victim. Let's mourn. It's like, how about there's a reason for that death karmically in your life, and there's everything's connected for a reason. When we understand where soul consciousness, this physical life is kind of subpar to our being in a sense, so we don't take it as seriously. So I would encourage people to dive deeper to say, what is a spiritual meaning behind this? What is a karmic pattern of this? Just to push through that, because there's a reason for everything. What may it be? And especially if you're experiencing loss of grief, like there's a reason for that loss and grief that's presented to you, and it could bring to you a light of your soul expression and expansion of your soul too. So I would challenge people to just go a little deeper to find the meanings of such. But I like I said before, Christopher, 2025 is very chaotic, and I obviously feel they're prepping for war this year, and so
Really,
I'm
you do.
with that,
Okay.
yeah. And I think,
that key with whom?
well, I see. I think America is somewhere else, so I don't know if it's an Asian country. I still can't be clear on the country yet. Maybe I'm not supposed to know, but I feel a preparation of war.
Yeah.
So there not be one this year. So I hope maybe I'll get some more information as time goes by. I've been feeling that, been sitting on that a little bit more to find out where it's going. But that's I'm only saying this because I feel like that's what has the manipulation in our airwaves or in the space is what's
Oh.
created these these flights to collide because of what they're preparing for and is manipulating in the airwaves is creating this, like I said, these accidents like this. So that's why I'm only mentioning that prediction, not for doom and gloom, just because that's what I feel. But I feel like, unfortunately, I hate to say this, and I like saying this too, but like America will be safe, but I feel like America will be the Darth Vader in this war, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean we were bad? No way.
We're the Darth
Didn't
Vaders
happen to me.
in a lot of
Can't
countries.
say that. No way.
Yeah.
Was I actually, in fairness, it's not the American people and it's not America. It's actually big corporations. We'll go and name right now, but you know who you are. If you own like a piece of every company, it's you we're talking about. So you
Right.
name yourself, but I think that there are big corporations that are tied to big interests. And I think that we've been swayed into thinking that it's a political conspiracies. It's corporations. And in fact, if we went to, if we had another, constitutional convention, I would be out there. I would be lobbying to have some constitutional amendments about how much power a corporation is allowed to have. There's nothing. One thing that the forefathers didn't really foresee, that the East India, tea company would end up, creating a war. You know what I mean? Like to towards sales and grow something like that. And that shift is happening, man. That's why I say I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I believe in business plans. This is a fucking business plan.
Well, it's in front of your eyes. It's in front of your eyes. Someone here is saying like peaceful revolution, year of the snake. What does the astrology say about that? Because I think, don't we have astrology too that's similar to World War II energy, you said, as far as when it comes to like an uptick in economy, but
Yes, but like, yeah, Neptune's in the same place it was for the American Civil War. And, yeah, Uranus is the same place for World War II, and Pluto's the same place for Revolutionary War. But I don't see any war. We're all three planets, major, are in places where we have typically gone to war. I personally believe it's the resolution of this situation because I believe karma goes spiral. So when you get to that same spot, you're higher. So I don't feel there will be wars. I do think there will be violence, but honestly, I feel like most of the population have spent the last 2,000 years fighting each other, cutting throats, all that stuff. What else is there to learn? That's spirit's perspective. Like you've learned everything about, so I don't know how much blood and guts and gore we have to go through anymore. I think that's why it's going to be robots and it's going to be satellites. I mean, what I pick up is like, it's a lot of satellite war. I think a lot of the fires being started are satellite. I think a lot of the weather control of satellites. Space is so junky right now. You couldn't launch a rocket.
Yeah. And that's what I mean too about like preparing for in that sense, right? Like it's a war in different things, not just that's why I'm not reading like a country because it might just be a preparation for something, or you know what I'm saying. So
Elon Musk versus AT&T.
Right. Something in nature. I mean, even what could be war against the corporations in a sense, because I do feel in that regard there's that. But that to me is what resolution is, because if you have the two enemies fighting against each other and then they dismantle, then we're free. So and that might be why I might pick up at a country. It might just be the fact that it's just two of the power hungry entities are fighting against each other. Because I do feel that. I've been feeling that for a couple months.
Yeah.
People
tell me there's I don't believe that people at the top like Bill Gates are sick, twisted, evil people. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like these are ambitious people. Once they have all the money in the world, what's fun to them?
Why the software programmer have
fun is like, ooh, let's puppet the whole world. They're out of things to climb. There's nothing else to climb. So you get to this, the ego gets to the point, the rudimentary ego, which is what's dying this year. I think under all this, we're going to see that the current operating system sucks. And we need a new operating system. And I've coined it the we-go because I think there's going to be a we-go. So instead of ego, it's going to be we-go in the sense of we. Like either you're going to finally put yourself in the equation as a light worker, be like me, I'm included now finally. Or the opposite, it's going to be like, oh, let's include our fellow man. Or for the idiots, it'll be like, he's the problem. He needs to die. Like he'll still be we. I think it's going to be a year of we regardless. One way or another.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think we have to understand too, there's got to be a breakdown and breakthrough too. So change may appear like it's chaotic, but that actually is resolution. So if systems are broken down and there's war in that sense where systems broken down, that's what we're asking for. So let's not say like, oh, it's, it's peace and peace, but we have to understand what peace really is and what gets us to that peace. Things have to be broken down. Systems that people have been attached to for so long got to be broken down. And that's going to be happening this year. So it may not be peaceful to a lot of people. So it's very very, to me, naive to say that, oh, it's peace and resolution. There's a lot of people that might suffer from those breaking down because they've been attached to those, those systems in a sense. And so when those get broken down, a lot of people are going to not know what to do. So that's why we got to be very much in the we go, like I agree with you, so we can understand to help those who are attached to those systems. Because, again, break down and break through. So that's going to be peace and revolution. Doesn't mean everyone's sitting there being flighty-dighty either. So some people need to reevaluate their mindset, what peace and revolution really means. So we have to stop thinking about ourselves, and collectively is that when someone's attached to a system that's broken down, how are we going to help our fellow person? Especially if they've been reliant upon the, big pharma, and then that comes crumbling down. They don't know they're at wit's end. I know they're threatening. Some people are saying that they're going to pull, HIV treatment from people, and so people who are on HIV treatment are going to, whether they're scared, what they're going to do. So is that peace and resolution? We're breaking down the system, but that's not going to be peace and resolution for those people who've been reliant upon it. So let's get clear about this year of the dragon. And Chinese astrology is never wrong. There's a process to resolution and peace, and so in order for us to break down those things, we're going to have to, people are going to have a detriment of understanding what that is. We have to be of help and service to those people, though. Do you know what I'm saying? So that means we have to be kind, we have to be very objective what's going on, and be very insightful and using our discernment. Because I was talking to my partner this morning that, like, what do we know? We don't know what's true anymore. I'm like, I said this, and 2025 is going to be, you're going to have truth and lies side by side. And, now that there's no fact checkers, now we don't have fact checkers, right? So who's checking the fact checkers? We have to have discernment. We have to look at things, say something doesn't sit right with us, and take it further, not be spoofed on the information. So yes, I need to have peace and resolution, and that's part of the process of things breaking down. But we need to make sure we're helping our fellow souls and fellow soulmates in this world who are attached to those systems, that they don't get trampled on in the process. So
I think also there's an issue of, like, first of all, you're fine. You're on your couch drinking a cup of coffee. You're fine.
Right. You have the luxury of looking at astrology.
Yeah, I mean, we have this, oh my God, the suffering. It's like, you're not suffering. You just got in your Mercedes, walked into your house with a Starbucks, you're fine. I think to some degree we need to take, like, again, let's accept the reality. It's your brother and sister, it's not you.
Right.
Like, create a little boundary, a little disconnection, because when you disconnect from it, like, my life will actually not be affected. Now, there's the spiritual belief. Again, the Judeo-Christian hangover. It's like, you're not being punished, you're not forsaken, you're not a sinner. I believe you control your own reality. So going back to the airplane thing, when I get on a plane, I ask myself, did I sign up to die? Okay, no, I didn't. I know I didn't sign up to die. That's how I know the plane's going to get. I'm not worried about Boeing. I'm not worried about the government policies. I'm not worried about experiments with airwaves. I know I'll get there fine because I didn't sign up for this. But that's a belief structure, and your heart has to agree with it, has to resonate with you, because it may appear radical to the old religions, but I feel it's how things actually work. If you didn't sign up for it as a lesson, it's not going to happen. I believe. But
true. What's true? But it's important that we understand there's a dynamic of things that make things happen. Like there's a streamline of events that make peace and resolution. Doesn't come out of nowhere. Everyone's like, oh, we've been at war and misery for decades. All of a sudden we're just happy now. No, things will be broken down. So that commenter just saying about, like, oh, no, this is all about peace and resolution. There's a way to get there, and we have not been in a momentum of things are peaceful. Things have gotten heightened to chaos. So once it heightens that chaotic positioning, boom, it crumbles down, and then we have peace and resolution to rebuild. That's what it's about.
You're not going to create peace from an anger perspective. Motherfuckers, we want peace. It's like, well, hold on, you're not at peace. You're telling me to be at peace? It's like, whoa. You got to be what you want to come. So until you come at me peacefully, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, so I think to some degree we're way too angry to begin with about how horrible things are. We're not really noticing our emotions.
And that's the point. And Christopher, that's the point we're trying to say. It's about community. Because of this breakdown, that's what 2025 and Lunar Aqua is about, community. I love you said we go. I love that, because it is about us, the collective. Individual strength to rebuild the collective. That's the revolution in that sense, that we're finally coming together. So that's the energy state that we're trying to connect with. So that, in a sense, is correct. And
I'll just say, as a planner, it's not going to just be like we're all harmony, love each other, kumbaya. It's actually, we're coming together in spots, like like a cheetah. Like, there's a spot. Here's a spot of people get together. Here's a spot of people get along. Here's a spot of people. So I think it starts with spots.
Yes.
And that's one thing I've seen this year I haven't talked about. I'm meeting so many cool people in Palm Springs, like so many cool people that I didn't meet anywhere. So these little spots are coming together, and it's like, I'm seeing it like, it's just like how God works. It's like one cell, 5 cell, 6 cell. We grow from the bottom up. And because
Right.
of corporations and money and, oh, I've got to get investment, I got to be on the stock market. You know, when you get investment in a stock market, your company goes from the top down.
Right.
That's like a really, really, really wide, fat person on skinny legs. Like
Right.
you grow from that. You have no foundation. You know, so part of the reason why we're so unstable is because we try to grow from the top down. We try to skip to step 20 before we even
Right.
understood step 0,
That's right.
and we race to the end. So you talk about, I think it's fine to race if you are going step by step by step by step. If you race by skipping steps, you're doomed
That's
because you
right.
are going to have a whole that little issue that you skipped is just going to grow as a bigger problem and a bigger
That's
problem
right.
and a bigger, and it's going to grow like cancer and ruin whatever you're trying to do. So we don't really know how to do it.
Well,
Um,
we have to understand when it gets that big. Right now, things are very big, and history repeats itself because things we're saying today. They were showed an article from 1940s. I can't afford groceries and the inflation. Like we're saying the same thing, but the problem,
right.
the difference is we have so much governmental control, and
Yeah.
so much of
Top
those
down.
controlling and manipulating things more so. That's got to be broken down. So it's got so big, just doesn't evaporate. Resolution, it evaporated. It's got to be taken down, and we got to make sure those that we love who are attached to these systems, that we can do the best we can, that we can maneuver them into more of a independent, communal thinking.
Yep.
So therefore, when those systems come down, they're not affected by it.
You know what's funny? This is the argument back in the American Revolution because Jefferson was like a localist. Like he said, no, it's got to be from the states up. States up. We cannot ever think this federal umbrella. It's got to be states up. And they're federalists. They're like, no, it's got to be federal down. And it's the same goddamn argument. Now,
Right.
I thought Jefferson was an asshole, even though he was a genius. If you learn about his private life, Aries just arrogant in some ways. I'm not saying all Aries
Right.
are. You get a genius, there's got to be something wrong, right? But at the end of the day, he was right. I agree with him. If I can confirm
Yeah.
him right now, like I agree, we should go states up. Now, but at the moment, states up is a Republican idea. No, it's an idea that Jefferson had before we even had the word
Sure.
Republican. Okay, so that's another thing. We get labeled with ideas and then we stop
I
looking at it as
know.
a possibility.
Right.
I'm with one state having it this way, one state having it that way. I don't care.
Hmm.
Move the
Right.
state. You know what I mean? Like go there if you like it, there.
That's true.
So it's again, I think we have to look at bottom up, instead of top down, if we really want to build anything stable. And as far as what you're saying with the we go, I agree. We're coming together as a collective, but it's like spots, and then that spot hooks up to another spot of spots. And to me, it's organic that way, how we go.
But the thing is, people need to understand what that collective energy means. That, like I said before, you accept they don't think like you. There's too many people. They think spirituality. We all got to think and see things the same way, say things the same
Right.
way. Respond. No, the whole point of being collective and having a revolution is understand we're all different and embracing that difference of perspective and let people do what they need to do. That's why, again, coming from the state, people resonate in the areas that where beliefs that line with their beings and so forth.
Right.
We're not going to be seeing things the same way, and that's when we get past that and we understand that we're powerful with each different perspective, then we win, then we succeed. But
Yeah,
everyone thinks that
totally.
the resolution is that we're all going to see things the same way, say the same things, being the same. No, that's we've been trying to do that
Right.
for so long. How's it working?
It's funny. I had an interview through Wendy Kennedy, who I love, and I was interviewing the Palladians through her. She was a channel, and the Palladian said to me, one thing we don't get about humans, that just none of us can get. We sit around laughing about it. Other aliens is that you guys have the possibility of being the most unique in the world, and all you do is put your nose up each other's ass and try to be the same. And they're like, "What? Why? You don't realize how cool you have an opportunity. You're all be the same."
Right.
I think I think again, why aren't we? Because top down bullshit. There's emperors, Genghis Khan, like all these a-holes were like, you've got to be it the way I want, top down, top down, top, top. And so
Right.
we just sort of we've been like indoctrinated into be the same, be a robot, be the same. I don't think anyone wants to be the same. We
Nope.
all want to do it our own way, but we don't have the emotional coping skills to go against the regime. It's difficult to be different, and it's not accepted to be different.
But we have to recognize the pyramid, that the bottom supporting that top. So once you
Well,
remove that
you got to
bottom,
wake up and realize, yeah.
yeah, so that's why we got to work at the bottom levels and pull that out, because that's a collective aspect. We got to stop fighting each other, because the whole point of these governmental corporations is pitting one against each other, the divisive aspect, divide and conquer. It's been working, the politics, right? And so we got to stop doing that crap and start pulling the bottom beneath them. They will crumble easily. I've seen if we just boycotted these companies and didn't buy their products, that'll crumble them right away. The
Totally.
car market's horrible right now because no one's buying, so the car market's crashing.
Oh, really? Cars? Who needs those? Yeah.
Because it's just so
technology.
Yeah.
One thing about Uranus and Gemini is the speeding up of technology. It happened in World War II. Let's go back, actually.
Segue.
Uranus was discovered. Uranus is actually a Pisces, which is interesting. because the day of the discovery. So in astrology, what we believe is the day you discover the planet is the day the humans discover that awareness. So
Right.
we didn't know about innovate. Like, oh, you can innovate. We didn't know till March 13, 1781 that we can innovate. Oh shit, that's
Right.
cool, right? And that's the thing about visible versus not visible planets. When we were doing astrology based on only visible, that's how stupid we were. We only had that much consciousness. As we built technology and started to see other planets, our consciousness is literally expanding, and that's really
Right.
what's happening in a spiritual level. You are expanding.
100%.
When I hear in heaven, there's tiny balls of light and there's big balls of light. What's the difference? A big ball of light is an old soul that's been expanding a long time. A tiny ball of light is a small soul.
Right.
So you grow in awareness, and that's how it works. Uranus was discovered by William Herschel in March 13th, 1781, which it makes Uranus a Pisces, by the way,
Mm.
which is why it's so
Mm.
unpredictable. And these, which it's interesting to have that kind of layer. But
Yeah.
and it represents, and they used a telescope for the first time to find a planet. That was the first time. So the discovery of innovation and technology was done by innovation and technology. It's so
Yeah.
funny how it writes itself, right? And when Pluto was discovered, we discovered plutonium. I mean, I don't even know how these things get named properly, but
Right.
Uranus Uranus is in Taurus right now, so it's just kind of like get me through this. Like Uranus in Taurus is like a jackhammer, like getting through the tar and mud, and that's part of the reason it's so hard. Once Uranus is in another air sign, and it's just bouncing off of molecules, man, things take off. And what happened in World War II is Uranus went into Gemini, and we invented TV, we invented nuclear, we
Right.
invented
Innovation.
like we just started like, woo.
Yeah.
So we're about to have a huge, because we can see all the possibilities of technology already. We can see the different possibilities, and I think that's one thing that's going to be, I think, a huge part of dealing with change. That's what the topic of this episode is: dealing with change. And in fact, here's the AI thing. You guys just told me about. DeepSeek AI is coming in from China, disrupting the AI industry in America. And I don't even know quite much about this.
Me
I
neither.
heard about it from you guys. I'm so in my own like mono Chris thing, but apparently they did it for like $29.95. Like they outsourced the parts to Taiwan. I don't know. They got it really cheap, and they just apparently created this really powerful AI for almost nothing, which I think is really good too. Because honestly, when they say it's like we want to go here, and NASA's like that'll cost $2 trillion. Bullshit.
Right.
Okay, that's China's calling us on our game here. It's like bullshit. There's people getting money from the top down, top down, top down. Everyone's
Right.
grabbing a piece of that stuff. It didn't cost that much. We're lying about it, but that sort of exposes America. But the point is like, whoa, you can create high-end technology for 1995?
Right.
Whoa, that really is a huge. I look
Was
at
this?
that as Uranus and Taurus though. Uranus and Taurus is like, oh, it don't cost 1995. Uranus and Taurus is like, it
Yeah.
doesn't cost that. It costs this. That's it. But what's Uranus and Gemini is like, okay, well then let's pay that. Let's do it.
Right. I think it was sold to NVIDIA or something. I don't know if I'm correct about this. I don't know if they sold the technology to NVIDIA, so now they possess it. So I'm not familiar about that
We
either. I
need
need
to
to
have
look
our
into that.
producer Erica on, just like pop in
But,
like a microphone and tell us.
but AI is not going anywhere. So I mean, we got to understand too. Like if we're evolving spiritually, right, and consciously, we're changing, right. So that means the things that we do in the mundane got to change too. So for me, how I look at it, those who are spiritually evolving, we can utilize AI to do the mundane things that have been taking us away from our creativity. But
Yeah.
if you've been not following your soul purpose, you might get swallowed up by the AI. It's kind of like this cycle, right? And so we have to be equipped karmically. We have to be equipped, with our soul purpose and in tune to such, so then we can utilize these things, because that's kind of how evolution works. If you're behind, it'll swallow you up. There's a lot of people that probably be swallowed up by AI, and so and I love this aspect of AI, because I'm also saying to myself too, like how can I evolve my craft beyond to where AI
Oh yeah.
can't touch it? So it's make me challenge what I do, right, to make it independent to what AI can do, right? So so we can use that and understand we're not it's not going anywhere. So
Our producer says they produced it for less than ChatGPT, which uses NVIDIA chips.
NVIDIA chips, there it is.
NVIDIA's
Okay.
overcharging anyways. NVIDIA. Everyone overcharges. They get in that front seat, they start overcharging. Shame on you. But you're holding back your progress. But yeah, it's interesting. What else will be innovative and change this year? We're talking about like I think honestly, I predict. I don't know when it'll be. I think Elon Musk is on top of this one. Again, who is Elon? He's a walk-in, or he just incarnated Earth for the first time. Actually, can you figure? Do you think? I feel like Elon has been on Earth maybe 2 lifetimes. That's it. I think he's not an alien like came on a ship this life, but he just like slipped over to human bodies from other bodies like 2 lifetimes ago. That's what it feels
Yeah,
like.
it feels like a walk-in to me. I could grab
People say
onto that.
walk-in.
I can grab into that. You know, I never used to believe in walk-ins until like 15 years ago, and
I
someone told me
still
they
don't
were
get how they
walking.
work. We should do that as an episode. We should do
Well,
that as
I
an
understood if we think of the NPC, type of ideology that like there are people that are walking around that just functioning by the brain. They don't have soul consciousness, so the brain's kind of doing
Oh,
its thing. It's like they're driving its car, and
like
then a
animals in the zoo.
soul. What's
Yeah.
that?
They're like animals in the zoo. They're just,
Yeah, but so that's it's a lot of people I meet sometimes. I'm like, is anyone up there? Like, didn't So I meet people like that a lot, and so my idea is that the soul can come in and just kind of
log
incarnate,
in into a bot,
log in, and
download
come in.
an
Yeah,
avatar. They're
yeah,
basically avatars. They're like little avatars. So
right.
God created. I heard that theory too. It's like there's really like 200,000 souls. Everyone else is an avatar, just a robot running around. I'm like, oh, kind of like when you played video games in the past and like you have the
That's
person on
right.
the background. It's like that sort of
I mean,
thing.
Chris, I've seen people glitch out. I've recorded people glitching out. Like, what is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, I'm not completely embracing the theory, but I'm not dismissing it either, because, like, you never freaking know, right? But yeah, it's funny. I feel the same thing with you. I saw something happening with SpaceX this year. Something significant of maybe going up there. I don't know. I need to spend more time with these collective predictions. I always just ramble them on the live shows. I should probably sit down and ponder them. But yeah, I think there's going to be some breakthrough at SpaceX.
A breakthrough or a breakdown?
Breakthrough.
Well, he's breaking through everything. He's about. I mean,
No.
those satellites that are up there, y'all. Like, first of all, satellites can like zoom in already. Military. Think about military satellites. There's only a few of them. You know what I mean? Like, because they're overcharged. And they can only get so many up. But he's like setting out like sperm. Like there's like
I
sperm
know.
around the earth and like so we're surrounded. And apparently they're going to be able to do phone calls. And when that happens, he's just usurped AT&T, Sprint. He's just usurped the internet. He's like, oh, my system is better, and you don't need to have a wire for mine. It's brilliant stuff, and also it's kind of like. And then if a bad guy or a virus got in charge of that, then that would also be a bad thing.
I think he has something to do with the drones too. I felt that as well.
I think the robots thing is going to be cool. I mean, the robot.
Yeah.
I was getting to is
Here.
I feel like by the time you and I retire, a robot. When we're old, a robot will be wiping our ass. It'll be a robot.
Yeah.
It won't be a health worker. It won't be some immigrant working for too little and not being respected. It'll be some robot. I think we're gonna all have like at least one robot per house. Like we have a car. We probably won't own cars, but we'll own robots. Probably lease them. You know what I mean? And they'll have upgrades. But the idea of that you have this synthetic, and the Palladians were saying again through Wendy Kennedy. I just have to pitch it, Wendy. The Palladians said that eventually they get so sophisticated you can incarnate into a robot.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be. Yeah.
That's
I
what
was
Palladians say.
wondered about. Yeah, I wondered about that.
They say
You
there's
can.
a whole possibility. There's worlds where it's all robots. And that's what the Palladians said, because I was like, well, are they take over the world? They go, no, once they become self-aware, they realize how stupid we are about the way we fight stuff. And they
Right.
don't take over because they're smarter than us. They're not dumber,
Right.
they're smarter. And so they don't create wars, she said, when they take over. I was like, oh, that's a whole different narrative change. Like, that's
You
weird.
you could buy one this year, Christopher. They can buy they could be sold this year. They're saying. I just want to address a comment too.
Show.
I just want to address a comment too really quick. It says it hurts my feelings as a scientist when you bash scientists wholesale. We are one of the few groups of people who are trained in discernment. I know for me, I know you were talking scientists. I not all scientists. I mean, you can't do a blanket statement. I mean, we're talking about the scientists that are denialists. They just deny. The
Yeah.
cynics. We're talking about those. We're not talking about.
It's the scientific mythology that I'm against, not scientists. Scientists are cool as shit. It's this propaganda that we're getting. We're right. We're always right. Well, why are there two experts in a court trial if you're always right?
Right.
You can prove it. No, there's two experts who are proving different things with different facts. So don't tell
Right.
me the science knows it all. And this is also a person who's attacked by scientists all the time, telling me that I'm bullshit. So I am a defensive in a personal way.
But scientists are people, and there's people doing great
Totally,
breakthroughs in
totally.
science, right? But like we're talking about the mainstandream, corporate-controlled, governmental
Yeah, that's what
controlled
we're talking
scientists that
talking
use
about-
science as a propaganda tool. Like we're talking
That's
about
where-
that. There are many breakthroughs in science. So I'm going to make sure we're clear about that aspect. We're referring to those who are coming from more of a suppression of idea and propaganda type of in the name of scientists. That's what we're referring to.
Like Bill Nye. Screw you, Bill Nye. Like, seriously, just it's like, come on. You say this is the way it is, and then you also say, well, we discovered the truth. Well, come on. That means that you may not have the truth. Right. And that's the thing about science and medicine. It's like, this causes cancer. No, this does. No, this does. It's like, eat salt. Don't eat salt. Shut up. Don't quit telling me. Do not take the attitude that you know everything when you constantly remit, every decade that you're wrong.
Right.
That's what they're like, the attitude.
Right. But the good scientists are not in the media. They're not. They're not in the media. They're not, they're evolving. They're just saying they don't know. They keep studying, So we're talking about the mainstream propagandists is what we're
We're
talking about.
talking about the narrative that's forced down our
Yes.
throat. That's what
Yes,
we're talking
exactly. In the name of science.
about. Yeah. In
In
the
the
name of
name of
science.
science.
And the name of
Yeah.
spirituality, is just as guilty.
Are
Spirituality
people
is just as
perfect?
guilty. Yeah.
People aren't perfect, so scientists are. No one's perfect, So,
Nothing is perfect. Well, I think
no,
imperfection is perfection, so
I agree.
totally.
That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. That's how we learn more. And so I love the scientists and those I know are scientists and they're just so hungry to learn more. They never know. They never have an end conclusion. Like we just keep finding out more. We keep digging more. That's the awesome rabbit hole of life
That's
and in
the
this
attitude.
universe.
Here's what we know
Yeah.
so far. Would be humble. Here's what we know so
Right.
far. I would be humble. That's
Yep.
not what we get shoved on our face in science class in 5th grade. That's not
Right.
what we get.
The
And
main-
then by the time we're in 10th grade, it was disproven. So it's like,
Yeah.
foundation in 5th grade is now usurped by 10th grade. Like, what the F, Like, it's just the attitude. But, that's a fair comment from our viewers. Like, we'll be careful to make better distinctions. That's a boundary issue.
Yes, that's a very fair comment because we have friends and colleagues and clients that are scientists and work in the science field. And they're amazing. They do amazing work. So yeah, that's that. We're just talking about the propagandists in the name of science.
Yeah, totally. Well, I guess it's time to wrap up. What we're getting down to I think what the show is about is like a shift's about to happen, y'all. Like,
yes,
and don't try to stop it. Don't try to react to it. Build coping skills. Take boundary. Just separate yourself. It's not you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to include yourself in that if you don't want to.
Right.
And secondly, when you have an emotional reaction, going outside yourself is never the answer. Going on the internet is never the answer. Like, if you're upset, the answer is go back in and fix this on your own. And if you do that, I think life will progress so much faster for everyone if everyone's just taking responsibility for their own feelings and their own boundaries. That's my last thing.
And we understand the meaning and purpose of it all. We detach a little bit from the physical expressions of it. We're like, like I'm getting more insight and awareness, and a lot of what we're experiencing collective, Christopher, is part of our karmic shards of our karmic past too, and the things we're detesting we once were.
Yeah, totally.
So it's in our face.
Atlantis. Do we have an Atlantis episode yet? I feel like
we planned. I think at a certain time to do
we need
so.
an Atlantis one. I think right now with Pluto and Aquarius, all these spheres of technology and robots and genetic engineering, all these spheres, that's all Atlantis' plot, man. Like, and this idea is a fantasy world. We already destroyed the Earth, and everyone's like, even with climate change, it's like we're gonna destroy the Earth. Well, Atlantis didn't. Like, they blew themselves up. The Earth tilted allegedly from that. So the Earth did take a hit, but she bounced back. So it's like, I think we're smaller than the Earth. I mean, like, she will do what she wants to do. Period.
True. And there's people who are manipulating our skies, so to speak, that we need to be concerned about. Who's manipulating the skies? Not so much Mother Nature, Mother Earth. And so I agree with that. So they tend to put the blame on the civilians. It's us that's doing it versus the people, the corporations.
Oh, I know. It's your car.
Yeah.
I know.
Then don't create the car.
I know. I know that. See, we're
another topic.
Waking up to this. We are waking up to it. I think I'd be afraid to be a politician right now. I swear to God, because people don't believe you. They just don't. And people say, "Oh, the Earth's about." People keep asking me when people get me alone, like in a dinner or something. They're like, "Do you think we're gonna have a civil war?" I'm like, "No." Go to a grocery store. How many people are throwing lettuce at each other? No, right. I don't see any American caring at all. We don't care. That's their narrative. Like, I don't care. I don't. Sometimes people piss me off and they cut me off in traffic. That's about it. And the other thing is we're just not that ambitious anymore. So
as a whole, we all understand how to like let live, right? It's just the shit you see in the news. Like if you think of people watching the news, it's like 1 million people are not watching the news, not 350 million, 1 million people. And then they show a small portion of those people who are fighting and hateful. And so it's like majority of people are not following that. So I never felt the Civil War thing. I mean, I felt, just encouraging discord. I felt that a lot, but I felt like
a lot of posts on Facebook, but
right.
Like the point for guys, don't watch the media, watch Scott and I. Scott, you're live tonight. What's going to be on your show?
Oh, that's right. Actually, my show tonight is called Alchemy of Chaos. So getting into how you can take chaos and use it to your benefit and how to alchemize it and turn it into a very positive expression, which is your divine purpose, is to understand being that magician of alchemizing chaos. So that's tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I am always on time because it's just me. So I will not be late. I'm always on time in my shows. And we're making sure we get Christopher's new tech up and rolling because he's been having new techs. But
I tried
my
winding up,
show-
dude. I just couldn't wind fast enough to get this show going.
I know my Virgo is on time with my show, but yeah, it'd be great conversation and live readings too. I do live one-on-one readings in there too as well. So it's a great community of people. So it'd be great topic. Kind of good continuation to what we're talking about today.
Oh no, it's great. It's the same people, frankly. They're watching the show. They're all going to Scott's. Well, we're family. That's more unity. And Serious Joy, of course, tomorrow night is my show, Namaste Today Live. I'll be talking about the planets and what's going on this upcoming week. And Astro Mingle will have Brittany Carmichael on, which is a divine feminine with a lot of muscle. She'll be talking about her retreat coming up and what she's doing. I consider her to be a leader. And we'll also be starting to release news about Unite the Light 2, which is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee on May 17th and 18th with a special thing we call Afterglow, a secret third day. So we'll talk about that too. We'll release that.
Nice.
It'll be fun. Yep. You got to come, dude. It'll be fun.
Of course. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be part of it. Duh, we talked about this.
All set up for you. All the servants, everything you wanted.
Yes, of course.
All right, folks. Well, don't put up with bullshit. Lead out loud. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh my gosh. That was a good one. I think the tension before the show turned into comedy. See, I think I should piss you off every week.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, you do naturally, but I don't think people understand that we are purposely talking right now.
Oh, no. They always think it's running by accident.
Yeah.
It's something we do right in the show.
Yeah. Last time I thought we were just gloating about how good we did. I'm like, no, it's a gag. It's a gag.